graduate's degree is the key, but everyone's position is different. So, yes.
So I know I was holding back in our visit prior to the meeting, but I'd love to hear about a day in the field.
Day in the field. Okay.
What's a nice day in the field? What do you do? Who are you with? What are you looking for? That kind of thing.
So I work in central office DEQ, which works a lot more with the policy side of things, but I am an environmental scientist too, or more specifically a permitting specialist. So I work with VDOT and...
Which is Virginia Department of Transportation.
Yes, sorry. You need to know exactly. The Virginia Department of Transportation, which is where you guys also work, right? The Army Corps, we do other state agencies, we work with them. So day in the field, I mainly work with VDOT and their road projects, and basically I'm just trying to protect the streams and the wetlands that they're impacting. And I also do mitigation stuff, so we go out and do mitigation banks and make sure that their criteria is up to success so that we can release credits for these projects that are impacting the wetlands and the streams so they can compensate for what they're impacting. On the policy side of things, since I am in central office and I'm right next to the Capitol, we do stuff like public comments or any protesting that's happened in our lobbies a few times. But a day in the field, I mean, it's a long day usually. It's great, you gotta wear your field pants. I typically, when we're doing like mitigation or VDOT inspections, we're just trying to make sure that they're in compliance with our regulations and not over impacting or doing unauthorized work or polluting the stream. So I do a lot of things in that area, but that's mostly.
So you're right at what some of my 115 students in here have done. So just that. So they know, for example, how to recognize a hydric soil. Would you ever have to look for an indicator of hydric soils?
So when we do delineations, the Corps does delineations, and I go with them sometimes just so we can agree on everything. If they're in question about a certain area, they will do a soil analysis, and we just look at the books and just try to see what's in the soil that would make it an indicator that it's a wetland or a historic site.
And they also know how to classify whether the plant community is hydrophytic, and your office doesn't actually necessarily delineate so much as you receive a delineation that was prepared by someone working for their client.
Right.
And so you're evaluating their delineation, so you have to sort of know more than they do to see if they're following the rules.
And I also review all the plans for the applications, like if they're applying for a new road to be built, I see all the plans and everything that they're going to do with it, and they're impacting, and what they're compensating, and what they're paying, and who they're working with. So I have to go through that whole process, and it's fun.
But those are good days. And you told us what percentage of your time is outside versus in the office?
In the wintertime, this year has been a lot more, but in the wintertime, not so much in the field, but I'm usually in the field, I would say a third to half the time, lately. So there are definitely some times when I'm in the office more just because of the amount of work that's coming in, and I feel like in central office, I'm definitely in the office more because being right near all policy work, but we have multiple regional offices that I feel are way more in the field than me. So you don't have to work for central office in Richmond. Anyone else?
Yes. Some questions back here.
Yes.
You can go. All right. Well, I apologize because I came a little bit late.
That's okay.
Are you up in Roanoke?
No, I'm in Richmond.
Pardon?
I'm in the Richmond.
Oh,
office.
Richmond.
Yes.
Okay, well, all right, okay. Good, good. So, and you probably said this earlier, but I'd like to hear it again. How do you feel your undergraduate education here helps? And then, on top of that, if you had to do it over again, what might you have done to better prepare you for at least this position or your future positions?
Well, for my undergraduate experience, working with Rob really was helpful because he knows so many people, for one. And networking is great. I also did a lot of volunteering at the Living Museum, so that really helped. I just say getting any minimal volunteer experience helps. Getting to know your teachers and finding out who they know is also helpful because they could know someone in an agency that you want to apply for, and they could be like, hey, look at my person, maybe. What was the second question? I'm sorry.
If you had to do it over
Do it over
again,
again?
what might have you changed?
Well, I originally wanted to apply to EPA, so I would say probably I would look state more, because I was definitely big picture. I was like, I want to work for the federal government. I think that would be amazing. And I really overlooked a lot of the state applications and government jobs that I feel like I could have applied for. But I was just so fixed on the federal government. I feel like maybe keeping up in mind is something I probably should have done ahead of time and much sooner. And looking into other opportunities instead of being so like strict on one thing. But I knew right away I didn't want to be in private sector. I wanted to be in the government, so that's just where I always looked. I don't know, I think I just really got really lucky. I wouldn't say I want to change anything. I mean, I think things just kind of fall into place when you realize that it's a much smaller world than we think, especially in your field. But
I wondered, so I've been on the state job site a lot, and it's, like you said, there's tons of stuff, and so,
Yeah.
and some of the job titles are pretty general, like it'll
Yeah.
say like program manager, so that doesn't really tell you, but have you found, like, with your title of being scientist and like other people you work with, would that be a good search word, or are there other position
Yeah.
titles that students should look for?
so you can there is a section, hold on, let me go to the picture. There's a section where you can type in keywords.
Okay.
I think that's actually how I found, oh dang it, it started over, sorry. I think that's how I found TQ at first, because I think it's right here. I just typed in environmental, I think I typed in, man, I definitely typed in environmental science, and I think that's what came up. There's, and multiple departments came up that I didn't even think that were,
Right.
you know, science related, popped up. But yeah, you can type in keywords if you don't want to just like look per department, or like if you don't know for sure what position you want to be. But I will say, the pay bands is important, because if you want a working professional's pay band, I think 4 or 5, so you want to look at those, because any higher than that, you're looking to be a manager, and if you don't have previous experience, you're obviously probably not going to get that job. So the pay bands and knowing that is important.
Mitchell, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about searching too. When we had somebody come talk about USA jobs a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and for that there's like ID codes for like different like sections of jobs.
I
Does
think that's what these numbers
Virginia
are.
have that? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what some of these numbers are. Yeah. But you don't have to know the codes. You can just search by location or
I'd like to
keywords.
piggyback on Dr. Meyer's question about things you experienced at CNU that might have affected your getting the job and doing the job. I remember Dave asked me a lot about your writing, and you really helped a lot with the final report and analyzed some data, and I knew you had writing skills. And now that I look back, and Alice might want to comment on this too, since from the federal perspective, do you really find yourself doing much writing? Is that a skill? Because there's people in here
Yeah.
who are not necessarily science majors, and they're thinking, well, writing is what we do, but not what scientists do. So do scientists write? How much
Oh,
writing
Yes.
do you do?
I know who doesn't write, and that's engineers. They don't
The
write.
engineers don't write.
No. But yeah, I do find a lot of writing, because since I'm in the permitting section, I'm doing the permits, so usually our templates laid out, and there's lots of details that over time with practice you get better at. But yeah, I definitely do writing every single day, and emailing people and talking to the public, and just having to write inspection reports. Yeah, you have to be very clear and descriptive in what you're seeing and doing.
And from the federal perspective, Alice, thank you.
Yeah, reading,
Okay. You guys write?
writing is a major component.
Yeah.
You have to that and data entry.
Yeah.
At least
And
one
filing
aspect.
everything, make sure everything's organized, yeah.
And you have to write, a lot of times, things that will hold up in court too. So you have to be really careful and thorough when you're writing.
Yeah, and professional. Yes.
So in addition to helping write reports, what was your undergraduate research experience like? What did you
Well,
do?
I did bald cypress at Lake Brinson, and we were studying we were studying how a weir affected their hydrology, or affected the hydrology growth, and how the ring cited tree ring cores, and studied how basically their growth was affected by this constant flooding of water, whereas it used to be flooding in and out, but it was just a constant level. So that was super interesting. I think that getting field experience really helps and shows that you know how to go in the field and you know how to plan a lead, and you know how to use tools. Yeah.
Did you give presentations at conferences?
Yeah, I did a couple of presentations, just presenting my projects, and that's another great place to network and get to know, like, who people know, just to present yourself and what you've researched or seen and what your skills are. So that was fun. Honestly, though, just like talking to people, like I know that that's like so overdone with school, but it's true. Like it's a small world, especially in the professional field. So finding out people that are connected is a way to get you a job. And you never know later down the road. I mean, people that I've met in my other agencies or consulting firms or even the public, later on I might be working for them. So it's important to make sure you make good relationships with those people.
And job satisfaction?
My job? Oh yeah, I love it. And I would say finding a good boss is really important because honestly your boss and your environment is what makes or breaks your job. Like I wouldn't say that my job right now is like is an ideal and it's what I want to do for the rest of my life. But I don't want to leave right now because my job is awesome because of my coworkers and my boss and just how fun the environment is. And, you know, I don't wake up every day like, oh, I do work. And I've definitely done that before. So it's great. And
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else for MacKenzie? Thank you, MacKenzie.